Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. I'm Lex,
And I'm Vera.
and today we're going to be diving into the world of SaaS marketing.
That's right.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at lead generation strategies.
Lead gen.
Sure.
Super important for
Yeah.
SaaS companies.
Oh yeah, especially for B2B SaaS companies out there.
Especially in today's, digital landscape. It's so competitive.
Yeah,
You need a system that's going to bring in those customers.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we've been, researching this topic
Yeah, tons of information.
quite a bit. Yeah,
Articles, studies.
we even have some of our notes and experiences with this as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're hoping to kind of, distill all this information down into something that's actually useful
Absolutely.
for you guys, the listeners,
Yeah.
who are, probably business owners, C-level execs.
People trying to grow their SaaS businesses.
Exactly.
And figure out how to get those leads coming in.
So if you're finding this valuable already,
Yeah.
please hit that follow button and share this with anyone who might benefit from it.
Yeah, spread the knowledge.
We're Lex and Vera from Shield Media Podcast Show.
And we're a digital marketing agency specializing in local SEO, PPC, and SMM.
And we're here to help our Western clients thrive. All right, so
Let's get started.
let's get into it.
So when we say SaaS lead generation,
What are we really talking about?
what does that mean?
Yeah.
So basically it seems like it's about identifying, targeting,
Right.
attracting potential customers.
Ideal clients.
Yeah, and converting them into those paying subscribers.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the holy grail, right?
It is.
And for those B2B SaaS folks out there,
Yeah, B2B, it's a different game.
this really boils down to digital marketing
Right.
that encourages those prospects to take action,
Yeah.
whether it's requesting a demo,
Booking a meeting.
downloading a resource, things like that.
Absolutely.
But it's not a one-time thing, right? It's kind of like a process.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. There you go.
Yeah.
Right? From finding them
Yeah.
to engaging them with content,
Mm-hmm.
maybe nurturing them through webinars or demos or special offers.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately you want to retain them as customers. So it's a whole cycle.
Keeping them happy, giving them that great experience.
Exactly.
So we've also found that there are different types of leads.
Oh, yeah. Different flavors of leads.
So you have those sales qualified leads, the sequels.
Sequels, these are your hot leads.
These are the people who are ready to buy.
They know what they need.
They've talked to sales.
Yeah, they understand your product.
They see the value.
Yeah, they're probably pretty close to signing on the dotted line.
Exactly. Then you have those marketing qualified leads,
MQLs,
the MQLs. These are a little bit,
lukewarm.
lukewarm, yeah.
They've shown some interest.
They downloaded something, attended a webinar.
They've interacted with your brand in some way,
Right.
but they still need a little bit more nurturing.
More convincing
Oh, convincing.
before they're ready to talk to sales.
Exactly.
So finally you have your product qualified leads.
PQLs.
Now these guys are interesting.
These are hot leads again.
These are the people who have actually used your product.
Yes.
So maybe they signed up for a free trial.
Free trial, freemium model, something like that.
Yeah.
And they've experienced the value firsthand.
Yeah.
They get it.
So how do you even begin?
Right.
You've got these different types of leads.
Yeah.
How do you build a strategy around that?
Where do you start?
Well, it seems like the first step is setting those SMART goals.
Always start with goals.
Classic business advice.
Right.
But it's there for a reason.
It's important.
And SMART is
Civic achievement.
relevant and time-bound.
So you need to have a really clear objective
Right.
for your lead gen efforts.
Yeah.
So you know what success looks like and you can measure it.
And it has to be relevant
Yeah.
to your overall business goals.
So instead of just saying,
I want more customers.
yeah,
It's like, I want to increase the number of qualified leads
right,
from our LinkedIn outreach
there you go.
by 15% in the next 6 weeks.
That's specific.
That's a SMART goal.
Measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound.
Exactly. And then right after that,
Okay.
you need to understand who your customer is.
Yes. Know your audience.
And we're talking about mapping your total addressable market.
Your TAM.
Yeah.
This is crucial.
So why is it so important to understand this potential customer base?
Because if you don't know who you're targeting,
Yeah.
your efforts are
Different.
going to be wasted.
Right.
Right. You need to
Right.
understand.
And throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Exactly. You need to understand the size of the market,
Mm-hmm.
the key characteristics, their needs, their pain points.
So you can tailor your message accordingly.
Exactly. And there's actually a cool tool that we came across
Oh.
from a company called SoPro.
Okay.
It's called a market map generator.
A market map generator. Interesting.
It's free, and it helps you visualize your TAM.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really helpful.
So, for example,
Yeah.
let's say you're targeting decision makers
Okay.
in tech companies that have under 500 employees,
Right.
specifically C-suite and senior leadership roles.
There you go. Now you have a clearly defined target.
That makes sense. So once you have a clear picture
Yeah.
of who you want to reach,
Okay.
how do you actually start engaging them?
Good question.
And it seems like email marketing is still a big one.
It's still a powerhouse.
It is.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
you need to make sure
Yes.
that you're following the rules
The technical stuff is important.
because you don't want to end up in the spam folder.
Exactly.
So what are some of those technical considerations?
You've got SBF, DKIM, DMRRC.
Yeah.
You need to make sure those are set up correctly.
And for those of you who don't know what those are,
It's a little technical.
just Google it.
Yeah, there's plenty of information online.
There are articles and guides about how to set those things up.
Right.
Now, once your emails do make it to the inbox,
Yeah.
what should that first email look like?
You're not going for the hard sell right away.
No,
No.
you're not trying to close the deal.
The goal is to pique their interest.
We get them on a call.
To start a conversation.
Yeah.
To show them that you understand their problems.
And you have a solution.
Exactly.
One thing that really stood out to me was
What's that?
avoiding jargon.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So tempting.
It's so tempting to use all that fancy language,
To sound smart.
but it can actually backfire
Dumb.
if your prospect doesn't understand what you're talking about.
They're going to tune out.
Yeah.
They're going to hit delete.
So keep it simple, clear and concise.
And on the topic of email,
Okay.
we found some interesting data
Oh, yeah.
about the best times to send those emails.
Data is king,
It is.
especially when it comes to marketing.
So tell me, when is the best time?
Well, according to Selfprone,
Who analyzed over 2.5 million prospecting emails.
wow, that's a lot of emails.
It is.
A lot of data.
The prime time to reach tech companies
Oh, yeah.
is between 10 and 11 and 11 L2s.
All right.
On Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
So specific.
They saw a lead rate of 5.55% during that hour.
It was,
Pretty significant
yeah.
compared to other times.
So timing is everything.
It really is.
What about the worst times?
The worst times to send.
Yeah.
They found that it's usually between 3 and 5 p.m. each day.
Makes sense.
People are either winding down for the day or they're just heads down in work.
So they're not checking their inboxes?
Exactly.
So we've talked about email,
Yeah.
but what about attracting leads organically?
Content marketing.
Content marketing. Tell me about it.
This is a really cost-effective way to generate leads
Okay.
and reach those potential customers
And how does that work?
by creating valuable content
Okay.
that addresses their pain points, their problems.
Mhm. And then you optimize it for search engines.
So SEO.
SEO.
Okay.
So that when they're searching for solutions,
Right.
they find you.
You pop up on Google.
Exactly.
So it's not just about writing any old content.
No.
It has to be strategic,
It has to be high quality, informative.
providing real value,
Yeah.
answering their questions.
And it has to be optimized for the right keywords
Mm-hmm.
so that the right people are finding it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So beyond content and email,
Okay.
what other digital marketing strategies are there?
Well, webinars are a big one.
Webinars, okay.
They're great for engaging with your audience,
Mm-hmm.
educating them,
Okay.
showcasing your expertise,
Okay.
and generating leads.
All right. So how do you make a webinar successful?
Well, first of all,
Yeah.
you need a great landing page.
For registration.
Yes.
So they can sign up.
Easy peasy.
Make it clear, concise, compelling.
And then what about after the webinar?
Follow-up is key.
So send them a thank you email.
Maybe share the recording.
Share the slides, key takeaways.
Leave some bonus content.
Yeah, keep them engaged.
And don't forget about the Q&A session
Oh, yeah, that's
during
important.
the webinar.
That's where you can really connect with them,
Yeah.
answer their questions.
Build that relationship.
Exactly.
So social media and email marketing,
Two sides of the same coin.
how do those fit together?
Well, social media is great for building awareness
Okay.
and connecting with your audience,
On platforms like LinkedIn.
especially LinkedIn for B2B.
Yeah.
It's all about thought leadership,
Mhm.
sharing valuable content,
Okay.
and starting conversations
And then email marketing comes in.
to nurture those leads.
You take it to the next level. More
Oh.
personalized.
Tailored messaging.
Stronger calls to action.
Yeah, guiding them towards that conversion.
And then there's demand generation.
The big picture.
Yeah, it seems like that kind of encompasses both outbound and inbound.
It does.
It's a holistic approach
It's about creating demand.
for your product,
Yeah, making people realize they need it.
even if they didn't know they needed it before.
Exactly.
So how do you actually generate demand?
Well, you use a combination of tactics.
Okay.
Outbound things like email campaigns, paid advertising,
Mm-hmm.
and inbound things like SEO, content marketing, social media.
And it's about finding that balance
Yes.
between those two.
It's not one or the other.
Right.
It's both.
And then within demand generation, you have things like gated content.
Oh, yeah. Gated content is great.
So that's things like ebooks, white papers
Guys, reports.
that you offer in exchange for contact information.
Exactly.
So why is that so effective?
Because people are willing to give up their information if they're getting something valuable in return.
Something that's going to help them
Exactly.
solve a problem.
And it also helps you establish your expertise.
By showing that you know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So once you've got them interested
Yeah.
and they click through to your website, the landing page becomes crucial.
Absolutely.
So what are the key elements?
Of a high converting landing page.
Yeah.
First of all, it needs to be clear.
Okay.
Concise.
Easy to understand.
What are you offering? What are the benefits?
Mm-hmm.
You need a strong call to action.
Okay.
Tell them what you want them to do.
Sign up, download, book a demo,
Exactly.
and keep the form short.
Nobody wants to fill out a long form.
Nobody.
Just ask for the essential information.
And don't forget to test.
A/B testing is your friend.
Always be testing.
Try different headlines, different calls to action.
Different layouts.
See what works best.
So we've talked about all these digital marketing methods.
Yeah.
But there's also the power of referrals,
Word of mouth.
word of mouth, and partnerships.
Strategic alliances.
Why are these so valuable?
Because people trust recommendations.
So people they know
Exactly.
more than they trust advertising.
Much more.
So if you can get your existing customers
Yeah.
to refer their friends and colleagues,
That's gold.
that's huge.
It's like built-in social proof.
So how do you create a successful referral program?
Keep it simple.
Okay.
Make the incentives clear.
Both for the refer and the referred.
Yes.
So what kind of incentives work well?
Discounts, credits, free upgrades.
Things that people actually want?
Yeah.
And what about partnerships?
Find businesses that target a similar audience,
But don't compete with you.
right?
So you can tap into their network.
And vice versa.
So you can co-create content.
Co-host webinars.
Do cross-promotions.
Yeah, expand your reach.
So you've implemented all these amazing strategies.
Okay.
How do you know if they're working?
You need to measure your results,
Track those key performance indicators.
your KPIs,
Things like conversion rates,
email open rates,
high traffic.
lead engagement.
You need to know what's working and what's not.
Exactly.
So you can adjust your strategy accordingly.
Optimization is key.
Continuous improvement.
You're never done. You're always learning, always testing, always refining.
And use the right tools.
CRM, marketing automation platforms,
Those can really help you manage your leads.
track their journey, automate tasks.
So you can focus on the big picture.
Exactly.
We also came across some interesting benchmarks
Oh, yeah.
for tech companies.
So Pro published some data
Okay.
on their sales prospecting results.
So for example,
For nanotech companies,
right.
they saw a pretty high lead rate,
But it's a niche market.
very niche,
Computer hardware companies.
decent lead rate,
Okay.
reasonable cost per lead,
And internet and computer networking companies.
lower lead rate,
Okay.
higher cost per lead.
Interesting.
So it really varies by industry.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And they also featured a case study.
About iTacit,
iTacit.
a Canadian company
Okay.
focused on employee communications,
Training.
compliance.
So what was their experience?
They were struggling to generate leads
Okay.
because their product was so unique.
It didn't fit into a neat little box.
Exactly.
So they partnered with SoPro.
Who essentially provided them with a ready-made source of leads,
So they could focus on other things.
like product development,
SoPro tested different messaging strategies.
adapted their approach based on the data.
And they helped iTacit achieve.
A 2% lead rate,
Okay.
a cost per lead of £214,
Not bad.
and a much bigger sales pipeline.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Terry Maltese, their marketing director,
Yeah.
she said that SoPro was a great way for them to plug and play
Into a proven system.
without losing ground on demand generation.
Not exactly.
So they can build up their internal team.
Yeah.
So to rack things up,
All right.
it seems like a successful SoMall's lead generation strategy.
It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
It's about
It's about a multifaceted approach,
a comprehensive approach.
setting clear goals,
Understanding your
It's
market,
using a variety of tactics,
building trust,
measuring your results.
and constantly adapting.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It's an ongoing process.
And the landscape is always changing.
So you need to stay agile.
Absolutely.
So here's a final question for you, the listener.
Okay.
We talked about the best times to send emails and the power of referrals.
Right.
How can you apply this knowledge?
To your own business.
What tweaks can you make
To your current strategy.
to see better results?
It's worth thinking about.
Definitely.
It could make a big difference.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope you found it valuable.
We hope you learned something new.
Remember to follow Shield Media for more insights.
And if you're a Western client looking for help with SEO, PPC, or SMM,
We'd love to chat.
we can help you grow your business.
And please share this with anyone.
Who might benefit from it?
Spread the knowledge.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.